This is all fighting. Standing by, over.
The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
ID, over. CPR street gang. This is all fighting. Standing by, over.
All right, let's get the microphone check out of the way here early. Let me know if you can hear me across the various chats. We've got YouTube, x.com, and Twitch going right now. Now for Twitch and x.com, I cannot import the chats into my streaming software right now, especially X. I have quite a bit of an issue with their API. So, and dashboard for that matter. Apparently they're working on it, but if you can let me know, at least in YouTube, if you can hear me okay. We'll get the music under control here shortly, and we're going to get started in a little bit more than a minute here. All right, so it does appear that everyone can hear me okay. We're going to get the music under control and we're going to get started here in about 10 seconds. All right. Let me just turn that off for me. And let's roll into it. Hello and welcome to Landy's Crypto Corner for Macro Mondays. Today is our Hyperbolic Bitcoin Takes Only stream, and that's a bit of a joke. We're going to be doing real technical analysis here. We're not just going to be posting or talking about or reviewing hyperbolic scenarios only, although we will touch on some of it. We're going to be talking about what's going on with Bitcoin price action right now, the important levels for Bitcoin to hold to the downside, what it needs to break to the upside in order to get continuation to the all-time high and beyond. And, generally some pullback areas of interest. So I'm already looking over in chat. So Bobby's going to make me laugh. Hello, Roka. Hello, Bob, Baba. And who else we got here? We got somebody else here, Sam, that are actually chatting. There's quite a few others that are watching. If you would like to chat, head on over to the YouTube channel and you can chat in there. That's primarily where everybody hangs out. I do know that we're getting a lot of people on X these days, but until they fix the dashboard chat so that I can see it, I would actually prefer if you come over to the YouTube channel so that if you do want to chat, I can see what's going on, answer questions and that kind of stuff. But let's get into it. We can talk a little bit about what's going on with Bitcoin right now. So Bitcoin on the daily has pulled back into the monthly, this is the all-time high zone, not the monthly all-time high zone. That's down here. That's the monthly close zone. This is the two all-time highs that were made in 2021. First, the $65,000 all-time high there from April of 2021, which was a monthly, daily, weekly, so on and so forth swing high, to the November of 2021 swing high, also known as a wick high or shadow. And that is coming in at $69,000. So we do see that Bitcoin has pulled back into this zone. This was our primary zone of interest that we talked about last week and, throughout last week after 69K had been closed above. So first pullback target has been hit. Now, if Bitcoin does break down from $65,000, I want you to note that the daily Bollinger Band lower first standard deviation, this is a volatility level of interest, is coming in at 63,500 now. When you see a strong expansion and uptrend in really any asset or indice, and then we get a pullback to the basis, if the basis is dropped, and in this case, that means closed below, that's coming in at around $67,000. Then we look to the next primary downside support area and then to the lower first as kind of a zone. So in this case, $65,000 to the lower first there at $63,500. If we do start seeing any significant timeframes below the daily, like a 4 or 6 hour, 8 or 12 hour that closes below the lower first on the daily time frame, so that means closing below 63,500, then I would target somewhere around the close opens here just below it at 62,500 to the top side of the monthly closing all-time high zone. That top side is coming in at 61,350. From there, I would start looking into that monthly closing all-time high zone, which is March of 2021 at 58.8 to that October of 2021 61,350 area. We do see that the daily lower first is in there coming in at around $60,000. If that area was dropped, we would begin to see expansion. So we do see a bit of compression on the Bollinger Bands here, but Bitcoin would still need to meet some very specific criteria for a further breakdown, and that would be closes below the lower second that also break down below the most recent wick low over here at around 59,224 and that 58.8 area. Then we can start entertaining looking down to a possible expansion replacement of the lower second to where the lower third is, somewhere around 56,500. All right, now that would satisfy around a 21% pullback. That is something that we discussed on Friday, and that is the meme numbers. And it's not really a meme. Bitcoin on this particular run up from the actual macro low at $15,500 here on Coinbase spot price has pulled back about 21%, anywhere between 20 and 22%, to be honest. And that is not unexpected from here. Bitcoin could use a correction. I would love to see that number, but very specifically, Bitcoin has to meet criteria in order to even get to those levels. It has to break through the $65,000 support. It's got to get through the band volatility levels and the highs over here. It's got to go test this monthly closing zone, which is a big zone that was already tested. And then it's got to break down from that zone to even go test that area. And quite honestly, if it's going to test 56,500, it might as well go ahead and test 53. All right. So, I mean, there's no reason why that should not be a valid target to the downside should all of this break down. There's not much there on the daily. And in terms of longer term timeframes, the biggest area of resistance that was holding price down and we saw prolonged consolidation at was $53,000. That was the big level. Once that was broken out from, Bitcoin kind of zoomed right through the monthly closing zone, retested, zoomed through the all-time high closing or all-time high zone, not closing zone. Closing zone's down here again. I'm going to keep screwing that up. And I'm the one who made the chart. It made new all-time highs. Now it's coming back for a retest in an important zone. So look, those of you that have been around following my technical analysis for a long time, it's condition-based. So I'm not even entertaining 56,500 or 56 or 53 or 45 or 40 or all these crazy, just frankly, quite silly targets right now to even be looking at, because from a technical point of view, yeah, sure, anything's possible. I could draw up any LARP chart I want, but Bitcoin has to meet the criteria of breaking down from not only trend, support and resistance, but it has to actually get volatility expansion to the downside through those areas. And we are in a compression phase right now. So could it still happen? Sure, absolutely. 100% it is possible. Those targets to the downside are on the board. But let me warn you real quick, bears. Bitcoin hasn't been very kind to you on this run up. So here's the criteria for the upside. If Bitcoin starts to close back above $69,000 and specifically starts to close above the upper first standard deviation on the daily time frame, that is coming in at 70,575, we'll call it. So basically 70,600. Well, the all-time high is back in play. And if it starts to close above there and the upper second standard deviation, so 3 criteria or so to get up here and actually get expansion, it needs to start closing above $69,000 to 70,500 to 600. Above there, it has, from the technical point of view, from volatility point of view especially, it has the ability to run the high and the upper second, which is coming in at around 74,100. So that is, right around the current all-time high. If it begins to close above $74,000, then we're looking at, breakout back to the upside, right? And then we're looking possibly for not only re-expansion, but a replacement up to the upper third at around, 77,500, 77,800. And then probably from there, our target in the low $80,000 region or $80,000 directly, as we've noted on quite a few fibs prior. So this is, something to be aware of if you're bearish. It's something to be aware of if you're bullish. Don't just put bear or bull goggles on. The market has been very strong, and we are seeing on the longer term time frames. And let's go ahead and get rid of support and resistance for a moment, and we'll get rid of the arrow again, so that we can go out and look at the monthly. And I want to remind you of a few different things here. If you've been around the channel for any length of time that I've been doing the macro analysis, which is basically since it went public and even when this channel was private, anytime that Bitcoin is closed above the upper third standard deviation on the monthly time frame, It has typically tested down towards the upper second standard deviation on the monthly time frame, which right now is coming in at 57,630. If it were to wick through, hey, we could see that $56,000 target that many are looking for. But typically what happens is it continues up past the upper third standard deviation or right on it. Currently, that is at 70,800 on the monthly time frame. So, and the other thing is I'm seeing a lot of like, oh my God, it's all over. This is the triple top. TradFi is going to screw everyone and everything's going to fall apart. Look, Bitcoin could come back to $45,000 around the monthly upper first and even wick through it and even go back and hit like 31.8. From a technical point of view, that is not anything out of the ordinary from structure. Would be a little bit out of the ordinary for an expansive posture like this on the monthly, but it would still be higher low structure. It would still be very bullish. So we're still getting, very, very soft reads right now in terms of expansion. This tells me that this has not even yet begun at 64.86 over a 40 read here on expansion. You can see that the Bollinger Band's got the compression. We're in the expansive phase now. This tells me continuation to the upside. So up and away it is. And typically anytime we have seen the upper third standard deviation closed above, we get a nice back test down, maybe somewhere in between the upper second, upper first, but it's not really, it doesn't have to be in the next candle. But typically what we end up seeing is that Bitcoin and other assets and indices, to be quite honest, when they do this on a macro time frame, typically trend above that upper first and then close above that upper second, upper third zone. So just a little bit of context for where we are. I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of the folks that are putting out like the really goofy downside targets and even some of the hyperbolic post headlines or video titles and stuff like that, it's clout farming. Okay, just understand that. Any good analyst worth their salt here understands that this is a bull market that is just screwing around its prior all-time high right now, and pullbacks are welcome, and that the next phase is very likely to be violent moves to the upside. How long does that phase take? Well, whenever Bitcoin begins its expansion, either to the upside or downside on the daily, is going to be continuation of either trend to the upside and that expansive phase that we just talked about to some of those deeper targets, or it's going to be a wider correction down to, lower second, hit some of the downside targets, 53, 56. That's, entirely possible as well. Would I be looking much further than that? No, not unless we saw this low on the daily taken out, and that's around 50,500. So that's that weekly zone that we've referenced quite often. Whoa, that was creepy. I just had a bunch of stuff just get knocked over next to me, and there's nobody else in here but me. All right, so let's go ahead and move that microphone over here for a moment. And let's just look at that zone again. So that would be the weekly zone down here. From a technical point of view, Bitcoin broke down from there, then, it could start entertaining targets down into the mid to upper 40s, but that is not even remotely in the cards right now. Bitcoin is trading in the all-time high zone between 65 and 69K. This is something we talked about at length last week as downside support. So only once it breaks down from 65K can we start looking a little bit lower. I would reference the band volatility levels because they are important to understand in terms of that contraction and expansion phase. 72,654 would turn momentum back to the upside. You can see that Bitcoin is in a BBWP cooldown as it trades around that basis band of the Bollinger Bands, meaning that if it closes around here today, we're going to see much quicker compression of those Bollinger Bands. So do reference it after close today. All right. And let's see. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the stuff that I did talk about on Friday that will help us get a little bit clearer view or help us get a little bit of an edge on what's going to be happening on the daily here. And that's the 12-hour. 12-hour has done something pretty typical of volatility expansion to retest. And in this case, we saw that we had the expansion even phase to the upside here through the monthlies, sat on top of the monthlies at 61,350, even wicked down to like $60,000, 60,003 to 4. Came up to test the all-time high zone, ran it, made a new all-time high, all in one candle, dumped off right back to that monthly zone. Kept riding that upper first up, tagging the upper second all the way along, and then right back down to the lower second. So this is called running the bands. So it ran from the upper second zone to upper first second zone, and right back to the lower first second zone. And quite honestly, this is a very nice pullback, very structured, even on a weekend. So I like what I'm seeing here. If Bitcoin can, again, close above $69,000 and regain the basis on the 12-hour, that's going to give us a little bit of an edge. That's around $70,000. Then we can start looking for possible retest to the 12-hour upper first, which puts Bitcoin at around $72,000. Above there, then we start looking to the upper second. That's right back to the highs, coming in at around 74. It's actually above the highs at 74,250. If we did start to see the 12-hour close above there, we're looking at upside expansion of the Bollinger Bands, and BWP likely to take off as well with it. If we do see Bitcoin beginning to close again today below the lower first standard deviation, which is coming in at 67,500, then we can target, generally speaking, the bottom side of the range here, somewhere around the $65,000 area to the lows there just below at 64,500. If we do see closes below this one's really easy. If we see closes below the lower second, that would be expansion of the Bollinger Bands to the downside. If Bitcoin then begins to lose the wick lows here at around 65,000 to 64,500, then we're looking for expansion down into the next big level of support. From the 12-hour perspective, it's not far to go to get to that 63,500 area where the daily lower first is. So that would be, again, a big area of interest. And then it's $63,000 at this 12-hour high, which is where the lower third is. So, be very aware that it could start to break down from that area. If it does, we're looking at, logical time frames on the daily and 12 hours. So the high on the 12-hour and the high on the daily all line up around that $63,500 to $63,000, where the lower first is on the daily. That's also where the current lower third is. Below there, then we can start targeting. 63 starts to get dropped. We can start targeting right back into this monthly zone around 61,350 to 58,800, and possibly beyond if that breaks down. But I just want to try to help you understand the interplay here and how these things kind of fit together. Now, the one thing that I would be aware of is if it keeps holding the zone, bears or bobos need to shit or get off the pot, because we're going to start seeing momentum get a full-on reset. And if it holds the $65,000 area, even, that we could see a momentum shift. Of course, we look for structure on lower term timeframes, expansion and contraction on lower term timeframes to see what's happening. But we could potentially see a turn to the upside if it continues to hold $65,000. Currently, Bitcoin needs to get a 12-hour close, which would come in at the end of the daily today, above $68,000 to turn this back to the upside, at least for an initial cross. We do want to see a follow-up closure above the pivot number for the Stoke. So you do want to see close over close to turn both the K and the D read to the upside. And of course, closing back above $69,000 in the basis, for instance, would do that here for Bitcoin on the 12-hour. And if it does lose the lower second and the lower term timeframes, which we're going to go look at, there is some local consolidation structure to pay attention to as well. Let's go ahead and look at the interplay between the 4 and 12-hour here. We can see that, the 4 hours just set up for a range at the moment. If we do start to see the lower second standard deviation dropped, then we have to pay very close attention to the lows here of this current move down into that $65,000 and 64,500 area for expansion. If we do start to see expansion and then those areas break down, we're looking for the 4 hour to get further expansion down to the next zone of interest around the 63 to 63 and a half zone before really looking into that big monthly area down below 60,000, 60,000, 61,350, so on and so forth. In this case, Bitcoin is trading in closing candles above the lower first. If it does start to close 4 hour candles below it at 66,600, nice. It really is a meme market today when it should have been a meme market on Friday, right? That was when we were talking about the memes. Then I would generally look back to the lower second for at minimum a retest, which is around 65.5. Now, if Bitcoin can regain the basis on the 4 hour at roughly 67,800 or so, then we can start looking back to the top side of this zone here at $69,000 where the 4 hour upper first is. Above there, we're looking for the upper second coming in at just over $70,000. If we do see closures above there, we will get expansion. And then we start targeting this area up here, which is coming in line with the upper third. This is that closing low at 71,500. And of course, above there, we start looking at the highs again, somewhere around 72 to 74 and possibly beyond. Where is Bitcoin in terms of Stoke? It's flirting with the bullish control zone here. 67,250 would keep this turned to the upside. Or turn it back to the upside in this case. So it's just kind of consolidating after the weekend price action. We see declining BBWP. Why? Because Bitcoin is hanging around the basis band. So as soon as we start to see expansion either to the downside or price pulling away from the basis, you'll see that number climb again, either downside or if it starts to get above the basis and climb towards the upper first, upper second, you will see that BBWP number move up. All right, let's look at the 6 hour just to see how that's going here. Yeah, so what I really like is the expansion to the downside. I like retests, so I would actually like to see the lows ran again. Whether they hold up or not really doesn't matter. When I see expansion on something like a 6 hour like this, we got this sideways and up compression phase, expansion, rejection at the lower first. I like to see expansion retests at the lower second or wherever that comes in. Currently, that is right around the monthly swing high zone at that $65,000 area to the wick lows at 64,500. So a retest cannot be ruled out from there, especially trading below the basis band from the 6 hour time frame perspective. But, if it's going to be really bullish, it's going to hang on to this lower first as it continues its slide down here into the daily close. And that is at 66,600 again. Can it swing this area? Absolutely, as long as it's hanging on to the wicks next to it. You kind of want to see it holding on to this big bull wick that's putting in this lower high here, to be quite honest, and that's a little bit higher there at 66,750. But if it does drop the lower first, then we can start entertaining targets back into that $65,000 zone. It is a bit of a wider zone there at about $1,000 zone. To $1,500 zone, 65 to 66,500 or so. If Bitcoin can start to regain the basis, that would also be right around the $69,000 area. So if we did see closures above there, look to the upper first. Hey, guess what? We're talking about 70,000 to 70,500. That's also the daily upper first standard deviation that we looked at a little bit earlier. Above there, we're looking back to the highs here at the upper second, somewhere around 72 to 72,500. Yes, I am accounting for the possibility of this getting a little bit further downside compression. What does all of this equate to me? Well, it's compression on the daily. There's nothing crazy happening here. And until we see expansion either to the upside or downside, it's more than likely that price action kind of goes sideways within and around this current zone between 65 and 69. Deviations above, deviations below, perfectly acceptable unless we see actual closes with expansion on those lower term timeframes that then leads to expansion on the higher term timeframes like the daily. Then we can start looking for further downside, 63, 63 and a half, the monthly at 61,350, and then possibly down there into the upper 50s to mid 50s or just 60K even, where the lower second is currently hanging out right now on the daily. So, to really kind of square this circle, people who are being really super hyperbolic online, they're doing it for the clicks, right? For the views. If they really truly do believe that it's all over, then they probably are really, really hoping for that, for everything to be all over, because they more than likely missed every single move up and or got wrecked by it. So, understand where things are. Block out the noise. Look at your chart. Evaluate things for yourself, right? Find the confluences, even if you don't chart like me or do your analysis like I do. Find the confluences of where my analysis lines up with yours. And if you found that they're pretty darn close, just a different way of getting there, then guess what? You're probably on the right path. If it's completely different to mine and you think that things are going to nuke, well, good luck. That they're, nuke in terms of them, things being all over and you're just so sure. Well, a lot of people are really sure right now. And a lot of people are saying that Bitcoin is in a broken trend on the daily. This is another thing that I wanted to address because, quite frankly, they are silly. There's other words for that as well. But even on a swing chart, you can see that Bitcoin is in higher low territory at the moment on a swing chart. It is in higher high, higher low territory or trend on the daily for closes. So, I do believe that people who are saying that the trend is broken on the daily don't know how to read a chart. They got chart charts. They're shitty charts. All right. That's what I'm trying to say. Or they're shitty at reading their chart. This is a swing high to a swing higher low as it stands right now. This is an unconfirmed low on the daily. Could it do a swing high to swing low to swing lower high to then break the downtrend or break and then go into a daily downtrend? Absolutely. But calling it a broken trend on the daily is just silly. Nothing has changed on the weekly here. Let's take a look at the weekly close. Oh, hey, that's higher high, higher low structure. Weird. We would like to see a pullback into, put a high in, put in another higher low. Is that what we might be looking at this week? Who knows? We talked about all of the criteria, but Bitcoin did not close below the upper second, but in fact did exactly what I had talked about last week, which is where Bitcoin price goes sideways. We get the upper second passing price. We saw that retested after the close open here, coming in at 68,600 up there. Now, if Bitcoin continues to trade below the upper second, the upper first is available from a volatility standpoint. That is coming in at $58,000. And we talked about this. This is right around that monthly 58 to 58.8 roughly. You can give it a zone. If it's going to go down there, well, it might as well hit 56. Well, it might as well hit 53 too. So, just understand that that the possibilities are there, sure. But, coming in line with exact numbers, you need to have multiple confluences lining up in those areas. There are some lower term time frame confluences at around that 56,500. There's volatility levels there on the daily. So, not anything too crazy. That would also meet the criteria of pulling back 21% or so. So yeah, it's completely in the cards. And we're seeing that it could be a possibility. Uh, Still very bullish. Weekly's bullish anywhere above the basis, quite honestly, and that's at a monthly at 47,000. It's actually a little bit above it at 47.7. Trade above the consolidation down here on the weekly that was happening at around that $44,000 to $45,000, and that was around that monthly zone at $45,500 to $47,000. It was holding price down before the wick down to into the monthly to hit it nearly directly at 38,500 before moving on up. So yeah, I mean, would a pullback be good? Yes. Is that what we could be seeing right now? Maybe. And it is not a confirmed thing. Now, if we do start seeing last week's low taken out, right, then a swing high is put in and confirmed, right? If we see the close open from the last week of February into the first week of March, then that's at 63,155. Then absolutely, especially on closes, we are likely looking at the upper first already having been run and or will likely get run. Also note that it wouldn't be too much to ask for Bitcoin to hang out sideways and for that to line up with the first week of March's wick low here coming into that weekly at $60,000. So again, we're looking right back into that monthly zone. And and then go from there. Other than that, it's fine. Everything's looking good. We've got expansive posture to the upside. We've got high volatility as well. So, price can really whip around and take both long and short out in very short order here with very high volatility. And you should be thankful if you are a day trader, because the volatility ranges right now are beautiful. You can get really easy scalp trades in. You're not fighting over $500 price action here. So the candles may not look it, but they're getting bigger in terms of their percentage moves relative to position size, as it would have been at $500 in those silly ranges that we were trading in sideways for quite a while, where it felt like it would never end. And then when it really kicked off, and we talked about this at the time, it really kicks off, usually takes everybody by surprise. So we can even look at a 15-minute here. Let's take a look. Hey, look, it's trying to make its way up. This is still a compressive range, only if it starts closing above the upper second on the 15-minute chart, which it's trying to regain this low over here. It also regained this low over here, but it's working on this low where the upper second is. If it can get above 67, well, there you go, 67.7 basically, then we can look for expansion, at least to its local high, somewhere around $68,000 for a retest. If it can get above there, then we're looking pretty quickly into the mid to low $68,000 region to, this high up here, which is 68,500 to around 68.1. Continued expansion would put it back towards the top side of the monthly all-time high zone at $69,000 up here, which I would like to see it tagged directly, just to see what kind of orders are in that area directly on the even number. So would be nice to see, but Bitcoin doesn't listen to me. Let's go ahead and look at a few other things outside of Bitcoin, and so we can really get the memes in. Let's take a look at Dixie. So when looking at shit coins like Dixie, we do need to be aware that they can make very large moves in short order. So, I mean, Dixie is up off the low about 1.25%. That's a big gain for Dixie, to be quite honest, to come back and retest around 103 to 104. That's what is possible from here. If it does start to recover above 104, which is the upper first, and then take out this high side structure right into that resistance overhead at 104.25, I would ever so slightly raise that target to 104.5 to 104.60. Above there, we would look for expansion up to the next high at around 105. This is still in a bearish posture. It is trying for a daily reversal. right? We've got higher low, wherever it puts in a higher high. I wouldn't necessarily chalk it up to this thing, ripping back down to 102 to the upper 101 area, but be aware wherever it puts in a high that it is starting to form at least some higher low structure on the daily. And only if it dropped the lower second by this low at 102.61 would I entertain it coming back down to test this low at 102.35 and possibly 102 even again down there. So that's your ultimate shitcoin analysis, also known as the U.S. dollar versus other shitcoins, which is other U.S. Not non-U.S. Fiat currencies rather. All right, let's look at gold. Gold is playing around. It's upper first here on the daily. So in this case, this is actually really strong. Still looks pretty darn good. Still in an expansive posture. Could this retrace further? Yep. The big zone to watch to the downside is the basis at around 2100 to the prior all-time high zone area at $2,075. So that's what I would pay attention to. If it does drop that area, there is the potential that it could come down and retest inside of this zone, either around the highs here, but you need to see it hold the daily lower first at around 2,034 to 35 bucks. Above the basis though, at around 2,100, looking good. I would look for it to try to regain the upper first, either on the expansion or when it starts to go into compression, as long as it's trading above 2,100. That is currently coming in at 2,164. Above there, we're looking to the highs again, and I would be looking somewhere around that 2,200 to the upper second at 2,230 to 2,250 or so by that daily upper second. Do I think that's what we're going to see today, running into tomorrow and the rest of the week? I've got my reservations regarding that. Momentum has turned against it at 2181. Let's see what the 12 hour is looking like. Okay, so 12 hour will give you a lead on the daily here. Closes below the lower second. That is coming in down here. And that is 2126. That also break down from the 2100 area over here. Then we're looking for expansion back to retest. At minimum, if it starts closing below the lower second, we're looking at a retest of 2100 likely coming in. So get a replacement basically down to that lower third. And if it starts to break down from there and continue expansion to the downside, then we're looking back to the 2075 to 2035 area of support, which was prior resistance, but it's a support resistance zone. You can see that the real resistance, the last known or the last seen resistance was pretty far down. Yes, it was tested all throughout this area, but in terms of prior to breakout and expansion to the upside, a real retest is 2,034 bucks. So not really looking for that. I'd want to see it sitting on the 2,100 to 2,075 bucks. Now, on the other side of that, if we start seeing closes above the upper first, we're going to see the highs get ran again around 2,200. If we start seeing closes above those highs, it would be expansion on the 12-hour time frame, and then boom up, hit that 2,230 to 2,250, possibly even 2,300 target that we talked about last week as potential upside areas of interest. 12-hour, yeah, this is why you want to watch it, because it can easily give you a lead on the daily when combining expansion or compression now to possible expansion. And if we start to see a Stoke flip, currently in this current day's 12-hour candle, it is 2180, but this is continuing to come down in terms of its price closer to where price is actually trading. So we could potentially see, the setups here, expansion, if it starts to get a Stoke flip as well, it's going to come on closes above, about 2176 is where we're going to start to see the etchings of that. And then we start looking back to, that's basically the closing highs anyway. Start looking back to around 2,200 and possible expansion past the highs to those deeper targets. And to the downside below, 2125, that would continue downside momentum, that would also then be getting expansion of the Bollinger Bands to the downside, and we'd be looking at those deeper targets to the downside. Take it one level at a time. Just because it gets expansion through a level doesn't mean that it has to go tag the other levels. So look left. Always look left. Know where the prior highs are, and then work your way from high to low. All right, the 4 hour giving me nothing here. This is just a consolidation. 4 hours pointed up on closes above 21.48. Coming into close today. It's 4 hour will give you a lead on the 12 hour. If it starts to break up from this consolidation again around that same high from the 12 hour, around that 21.75, we're looking at maybe lower term time frame rejections around the current highs, but more than likely we'd start to be looking at expansion on some of those longer term time frames like the 12 hour. We're not going to look at traditional markets today. Stream was a little late, had a lot of things going on this morning that I had to address. We will look at traditional markets later this week, though. If not Wednesday, we'll definitely follow up with them on Friday. I do want to head on over to chat, see what's going on over there. We've got quite a few people in the chats. Not a lot chatting at the moment. That's okay. If you do want to chat, you have anything that you would like to ask me, and or something you want to tell me, whether it's how right or wrong I am, that's great. Go ahead and jump in chat and let me know. While I'm waiting for you guys to catch up, we're going to look at a few other things here, though, that are not necessarily, they are part of technical analysis, but they're on the quant side. We do see that we're about neutral on the take or buy sell ratio. This is reflecting the consolidation within a support and resistance zone as it is. We did see, not extreme reads during the actual rundown to that low, that wick low that was put in there at the 65,450 area. We did see extreme reads. We saw this, and I've mentioned this before. If you're going to use this chart, an extreme read doesn't necessarily mean that things are going to turn around, by the way. But paired with other confluences, you can maybe counter trade if you are practiced enough. I would not suggest counter trading the trend if you are not well versed in doing so, but it dropped all the way down below the 0.88. That's an extreme read on this particular indicator or chart for, it's not really an indicator, it's a chart for take or buy sell ratio. And then on the other side of that, extreme or overheated reads are above the 1.12 to 1.15 to the upside there. You could take this as an 8.8 to 8.6, but you could even do an 8.88 there, and that would work as well as an more extreme read on the take or buy sell ratio. It's just, I'm telling you how many bids versus asks, or the ratio of bids versus asks in the market here. I have seen a few people talk about like, oh, well, and this is not to mock them or make fun of them, but I've seen a lot of posts lately about OI and how OI is rising on this particular exchange or that particular exchange. And well, I do think that is valuable to look at. I do think you should look at aggregate OI if you're going to use OI, and it's going sideways. So we have not seen too much. Has it risen since, the lows? Yes, but it's normalized here on the hourly chart. Now, when you're going to look at it relative to prior price action, OI, price has lost its markup relative to OI. So it was at around $68,000, almost $69,000 over here before the dump off to that, 50,500 over here. But, or no, this was 58,500. Sorry. That was the monthly down there in the monthly zone. So Bitcoin has lost a bit of its markup versus OI in terms of price markup relative to OI. but that's also, Bitcoin was it was over the weekend. So if we do begin to see OI, another washout, we could see OI drop and Bitcoin still hold the range. So they are correct, in evaluating that per particular exchange. But I would suggest if you're going to do this yourself, one, chart if you're going to do it on the exchange that you are using. And if you're not going to do it on the exchange that you're using, come over to something like coinalyze.net and just use the aggregate chart to kind of gauge where OI is market wide. So, and I know like some of you guys in chat have referenced Velo or whatever it is. When they actually have an aggregate across the market, then let me know and we'll start using that. But right now they don't. At least as far as I know. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, let's go ahead and turn on the tunes. Let me go ahead and run through the chat here and take a look at what's going on. Get some tunes on to cover for silence here. We'll go with Highlands. And somebody told me last week the background music was competing with my voice, so we'll keep that a little bit lower today. We'll go down to the ultimate degen chart. Let's throw on the 30-second chart here, and let me take a look at the chats here. All right, so said hi to Sam, Baba, Roca, Bobby, Don. Hello, Don. Good to see you. We've got Why Crypto, because fiat is the ultimate shitcoin. Really, you could just throw a dart at a dartboard and you're better off in crypto. Yeah. Even if you're getting scammed, you're still better off. Just kidding. Don't get scammed in crypto, please. Don't send your Solana to somebody who's just going to burn it. Oops. Accidentally burned our liquidity. Where do I think the Fed is going to be going with an interest rate hike? Don't know, don't care right now, but we'll take a look at it. I think we have a decision coming up soon, don't we? If we were going to really get into like rate hikes, I don't think it's relevant anymore, to be quite honest with you. But, it as something that is, understandable to be looking at, we're going to look at the monthly, and we can see that it is unlikely to skate this long and then not do something significant. So in my personal opinion, I think they'll blow up the entire system in terms of the banking system if they raise rates again. So I'm just going to give you my speculative opinion. Now, some would argue that that's their goal, to move into CBDCs and like all this other stuff. That would be such a hell of a fight with Congress that the only thing they can agree on right now is war. Good luck getting them to agree to major changes in the way that the Fed operates using the Fed Now stuff or CBDCs of any sort. It would just be they're walking into a room full of knives out peeps that are gonna try to stab them in the throat. So they probably want to avoid that. They're already in a big spat with Yellen, so she's trying to force them to do what she wants, and they're trying to hold. So we can come back to it. I have to actually change my chart to throw events on here. Give me a second. All ideas. No, I don't want it. This is all the ideas stuff. Like, this is going to be up in your panel over here. But it's little social insight stuff. Like, you can actually change this now. It's ideas followed by users, or ideas that people are posting to TradingView rather. That's what that is. Let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin, because I believe it's going to show up on Bitcoin's chart. Is toxic Bitcoin maximalism getting less toxic? No, fuck your altcoins. Sorry, what? Probably not. I mean, I'm a Bitcoin maxi, but I also trade and hold a ton of alts. I don't believe that they are the future, but I'm certainly willing to make money on them to buy more Bitcoin. I'm gonna tell you, Bobby, I'm not set up to look at hash rate right now, but I'm not that concerned about it. I know that if you're talking about the hash ribbons, I'm aware of what's going on, but in terms of hash rate itself, I'm not concerned about, or I don't think set up right now to give you an accurate take on it. Yeah, I don't remember. You're gonna have to look, and Sam, you'll have to forgive me. I'll follow up with you and see when the rate decision is. I think it's this month, right? Isn't it before the quarterly? Or is it just after the quarterly? I don't remember. We'll have to go look. It's become so irrelevant lately, and not something that I'm worried about in any shape or form. You know, hash ribbons look fine. Hash ribbons look fine. I'm sure, you know, hash rate is doing just great right now. Now, coming into the halving, of course, it's not about, a lot of people mistake like hash rate and halving is like, oh, it's going to have the hash rate. No, not really. You're still pushing hashes, you're just getting less for them. So there's that. Let's see here. We've got. So let me follow up with you on Wednesday, Sam. Just remind me. I will take a look at the dates. Likely, I would say it's more likely than not that the Fed just sits on their hands and keeps rates steady. Let's put it this way. Their next meeting, I would be surprised if they raised or dropped the rates. That's what I would be surprised about. All right, so Why Crypto says, Gary Network. Sure, I'll look at that. But if you want to get into hash rate specific stuff, Bobby, before we go look at this altcoin, we're going to do, and I'm going to set up with you guys in the Discord. By the way, if you would like to join Discord, the link is in the video description. It's also pinned to my profile on X. You're more than welcome to go join. Just know there are a few ground rules there. People are there to learn. And we're not there to tutor people, but we're there to point you in the right direction for resources. And, you know, there is other stuff coming later that are going to be focused on things for beginners in terms of video format. That stuff's not available yet, though. And yes, it's going to be free. But if you're going to come to the server, you're coming there to learn. If you're not there to learn and you're just there to, you know, let's say, hang out and discuss things that are not relevant to the topics at hand, then you're probably in the wrong place. All right. So, but if you do want to come in there, you want to share charts, you understand basically what you're doing, or you don't, you can do so. Just understand that it is a place where we're going to probably direct you to resources so that you can learn more about what it is that you're trying to understand about your chart, not necessarily hold your hand and walk you through it. There will be specific videos where I talk about, you know, your chart, what candlesticks are, your open, high, low, close, so your OHCL or OHLC, and candle structure and trend, of course, support and resistance, and then of course volatility and how that creates momentum. There will be a pinned playlist series fairly soon, but that is not available right now. So if you're looking to learn, we're going to be directing you towards resources. If you want to hang out, you're more than welcome to. In general chat is general, but don't take it over for yourself. There's other people there that want to get a word in edgewise, so I do understand excitement, but please, just respect others. There's only a few rules in the server. Don't be a dick is rule number 1, unless you are just joking around. And rule number 2 is read rule number 1. So it is up to you to decide if you're being a dick and not joking. And that applies to everyone. Everyone can be a dick. But if you're continuing to be a dick, probably not going to last long. So this is par for the course when you open a server up to the public. But yeah, if you want to hang out, check it out. Bobby, in the server there, and one of the main reasons why I brought up the Discord, I'm going to start talking to you guys about mining there before I do it publicly, so that I can get my thoughts in order for how I want to discuss mining publicly. Hash rate will be a big part of that. So yeah, no. Was there a problem in your Discord? Look, there's whenever you open things up to public, people maybe don't understand the purpose of it, or misunderstand, and that's okay. As long as they understand, and as long as you understand, it's a place to go and hang out, to learn. It's not very active right now, so you can hang out and you can talk about anything you like, but don't just take it over for yourself. That's all. All right. Yeah, let's look at Gary. And it helps if I spell it right and not the dyslexic way. You want Gary USDT, I know that, but what exchange? I mean, KuCoin? I mean, I would probably just rather go OKX if I'm going to look at this. What is this? It's Gary. It's like, what is it? It's Gary. It says it right there, right? Is it on Binance? No. So you got OKX, you've got KuCoin. KuCoin probably has the most history because they list everything. This looks like a shitcoin, man. Oh my god. Holy shit, dude. What are you showing me here? Excuse my language, but what the hell? This is just going down, buddy. Is it gonna turn around? Maybe. It's got its reversal in place. Maybe. But it's obviously It looks like shit. This is a hell of a drawdown to sit through, even just locally. If you are, lots of people got wiped out. Shit, this thing is gross. I'm sure this probably moves in very large percentages so that it's on the front page of every single shitcoinery exchange. Like, I'm sure this thing is probably bought it all to hell on KuCoin, so it shows up for volume and percentage moves, both to the upside and downside. I don't know what this thing does. Well, outside of going down and being incredibly volatile in terms of its downside moves. If you're looking for anything longer than a daily time frame, you got to look to the weekly here, and maybe this thing takes off. It's got to break out above 61 cents and then take out 10 cents. And that's a pretty big move from 3.65 cents. So local structure, you got to see closes above 4.6 cents to get expansion up to even test around that 6 cent region. And if it loses 0.278 cents down here, there's some local support to hang on to, but the way this thing has been moving, you're probably looking at 2 cents and lower at a 0.009. Look, if Bitcoin starts to break down, I imagine this thing probably pops up and or pops up, gets sold into, and or just nukes. So Bitcoin's kind of screwing around at the moment, so that's a sad chart, man. I got props for finding something that looks this ugly. I hope you're not holding it. Not financial advice, but get the freaking hell as far away as you possibly can. Run. Why crypto? Why this? Where's I need the Joey Swole. You could do better. Be better than Gary USDT. Maybe there's something that I don't. Maybe they've got like a super cool AI thing going, and January to now has just been a fluke because everything has been going up relative to the US dollar, and this thing has been going down on the weekly. So if you're trying to snipe like the move out of this zone, understand 6 to 10 cents is where you need to be looking to the upside. That's been the primary resistance. So, and if this thing loses 2.5 cents or so to like 2 cents, it's probably going to go down even more. Not only test this low, it's probably going to expand down past that low. If it holds it, maybe it's a good buy. I mean, that's a big move for this tiny little shitcoin. But yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm like, Rip, I hope you don't have like a personal attachment to this coin, or you're on the development team. I mean, if you're on the development team, maybe just go get your treasury full of assets that appreciate, and then let your customers know that. Maybe they'll invest in your project again or something. But other than that, like, zero. Is it tradable? Probably. If you like shorting. Bobos, be proud. Here's your coin. I'm sorry. I just, you showed me a bad chart. This one's really bad. But we can find some other bad charts too. Here, let's pick a bad chart. Here, let's look at one. So here's a shit coin that I actually own quite a lot of. Now, from a long time ago. It's in a very large consolidation. So its potential, according to XRP Army, is $2,000. Shout out Mr. Green. You're almost there. 65 cents, 60 cents is the trading price right now. This is in a consolidation on the weekly. Is it more than likely going to result in an upside move? Sure. I bet it does. And in particular, if it starts to trade above last week's wick high, where it got violently rejected at the upper third, around 70, what was this, 74, almost 75 cents, it's probably going to consolidate some more. And then you wait. And you do have to be aware, if it drops this low at around 50 cents, well, it's going to be a drawdown back into the 30 to 40 cent region at minimum. And at worst, this thing starts to really race down towards its actual lows here from back in 2020, which it, to be fair, did not do in the bear market. So, I mean, this thing's holding up better. It's higher low structure. When looking at the monthly, this is obviously a bull flag or a double bull flag or prolonged consolidation that's going to make you go crazy. One of the two or three options that I just presented there, but above 70 cents, this thing will rip to around $1.50 or so. Then you got to pay attention to around $2. Now, if it can get above $2, then you can start looking to its all-time high around the $3 to mid $3 region. Other than that, you can sit on your stablecoin hands like me and hope and pray and wish that it would do something other than go sideways. But this is why it's a shit coin. This is why I own it from very, very long ago, and I have not bought a lot more of it. I have traded the hell out of it, though. And, you know, to be quite honest, it's been fairly easy trades. It's fairly consistently rejected in the same areas, and it's fairly consistently supported in the same areas. So, you know, I know the XRP army is probably going to want to knife me as soon as I'm done saying this, and or during my saying this. Now, to be fair, it's holding up, and this is a widening or expanding wedge thing. Oh God. Sorry, pattern traders. I'm not with you on the patterns, but it's a horn. It's saying, look at me, guys. And you know, so it's just blaring out all the green that it's gonna put out there. But yeah, no, I mean, it's expanding volatility is what happened after the compression. So, you know, come back to the lower first, to be fair, is a typical bounce zone. So, and if you want to play that, yeah, if you don't get the horn joke, fine, it's okay. It's a pattern trading joke. You don't need to get it. It was more for me than anyone else. Yeah, the basis gets regained around 63 cents, then probably looking around 66 cents above there. Start looking back to 70, maybe even 75 for a breakout. But yeah, if I get one more person tells me publicly that XRP is going to $2,000 a coin, I'm gonna find you. And I'm going to tape you to a chair, and I'm going to make you stare at the chart with me so that you can see for yourself that you're probably insane. So anyway, that's enough dunking on XRP, seeing as I'm dunking on myself in a sense there as well. Yeah. Sure. No, you can follow me on X. No, I can't see the chat in there. I'm sorry. You can follow me on X. It's just Crypto Landy. You know, I'm right here in the chat. You probably got there by getting to my page anyway. It's Landy Hosting. You click on that. You click follow. You can join the Discord if you like. I do suggest that if you would like to chat and see and your chat be seen, get on over to YouTube. That is primarily where I can monitor the chat for right now. Yeah, so let's go ahead and just poke around here. We got some LOLs. Yeah, and I can see Twitch chat. Yes, I can see over here in Twitch. That's why I was answering your question. But it's not the focus on my streaming software, because almost nobody shows up to Twitch for, at least my particular Twitch channel, for technical analysis. You know, they're there to see games and boobs. Whether those boobs are people being a boob or actual boobs. Yeah. No, games are, I said games. No, not a gaming channel as it turns out. But I had to pick a category, so I picked a Bitcoin-based game. Yeah. No, I mean, the last, this is to give you an idea of why I do not value anything that comes from Twitch, and I do apologize if you followed me there. But, I mean, I got people like Ashley with the thick thighs who sub me and then just spam shit in my chat, so they get banned. So yeah, they're not, most people that are coming from the Twitch side are not interested in the technical analysis even. But if you are here on the Twitch side and you are here for the technical analysis, I suggest you come on over to YouTube, come on over to X, head on over to the Discord. So, and if you do, just like it's easier for you to watch here, that's great. I just can't see your chat typically. Yeah. I think you're 100% wrong about XRP. It's in a macro consolidation. Well, my point is not that it's not going to go up versus the US dollar. So I don't disagree that it's going to go up versus the US dollar. I disagree that it's got these absolute crazy targets. And I'll just draw your attention to this chart here. This is XRP versus Bitcoin on the daily. What do you see? You see that it is not the powerhouse that many in the army thought it was. I never really bought any of the narrative surrounding XRP after I did my research. But I did buy the coin because I do buy altcoins. But I have no faith in this. I have no faith in the direction it's going. You can send me resources if you really think that it's going to change my mind, but just know it's probably not. Because I have done my research, yes. If you wanted to get into specifics of why I think that XRP is going to go nowhere, first thing that I'm going to point out is that most of the people that talk about XRP in the manner in which they do are completely 100% delusional in that they believe, one, they want smaller government and they want the central banks to be gone, but they want the central bank coin. What? Oh, no, it's just for cross-border payments and settlements. And then we're going to use Stellar and this and that. And it's like, no, sorry. You are literally shilling for the banker's coin, which is what they've been trying to do, is become the cross-border settlement system for the central banking system. So right off the bat, I mean, it does not align with any of my values. Core value is fuck the Fed. And, and by virtue of that fact, fuck the government. So, I mean, if you're here and you don't understand that, and if you're even in Bitcoin and you don't understand that, you're in it for the wrong reasons. You don't really understand why Bitcoin is what it is. So, yeah. Sorry, I got to be a little harsh there. But this is the reality of XRP. And I'm not here to argue with you about coins, but I just simply got to show you the chart. This is what's happening to XRP. If you think this is a booming success, by all means, I will find you a very nice padded room. You just send me your general city, and I will find you where they have the padded rooms. And you can go there and bounce off the walls, and that's okay. I don't mind that. This is heading for its 2021 low against Bitcoin. And there's a lot of people that are like, oh, it's because of, just look at this. And, they won their case, but they kind of didn't win their case. And the SEC's just, they're assholes, and there's corruption, and there's, okay, if you really think that it's going to be the cross-border settlement system for the central banking system, which is, again, against all of the core values that most would hold in that space to begin with, or in this space of crypto, why wouldn't they just let it on through? Right? They're all tools of the central banking infrastructure anyway. So why the fight? Is it because there's a legitimate case there? Is it because it's really big, bad, and scary and they can't have it because it's going to destroy their system? No, it's because it is scamming and it has no real utility at the moment. That's why. So, and again, I own a lot of it. And it's gone up a lot. And I'm happy about that. And I do expect it to go up versus the US dollar here shortly. If you would like to know where I bought XRP, I'll give you a generalized area. So XRP was something that you had to OTC at one point if you knew the right people. And to be honest, it was exciting. It was exciting because of the tech. I'm not in it for the tech. I'm in it for the getting more Bitcoin part. But yes, if you would like to see where I got in, take a guess. Now, of course, this is Binance, but XRP has been around for a while. Okay. And when I say that I'm at a really low level in XRP, I mean it. So just guess. You can kind of guess based on what I've told you guys in the past about my history in coming back in and trading crypto in the 2015 to 2016 timeframe when I went full-time to trade in it again. So now, when I say full-time trading, that doesn't mean that I was uninvolved in crypto in any way. When I say full-time trading, I do mean day trading, scalp and swing positions on a daily basis. So, yeah. All right. But yes, no, XRP versus Bitcoin. There's always that argument that Bitcoin's a Ponzi. Well, first of all, it doesn't meet any of the criteria of being a Ponzi, but XRP does. Which is why the lawsuits. So anyway, and we're going to start getting into, on this particular channel, we're going to start getting into helping people understand Bitcoin from the mining side of things as well, because I do believe that everyone here should be running their own node, and you don't need an expensive piece of equipment to run a Bitcoin node. You can run it in a virtual machine. Just understand, running a node and mining Bitcoin, or mining for profit in this case, you know, you're lottery mining. You're not actually mining for steady income. But having the ability to do what you want to do with your node in terms of UTXOs and coin joins and like all kinds of fun stuff, you should be running your own node. There's really no excuses at this point. Raspberry Pis can do it. But thanks to ordinals, our hard drives are getting filled up, man. It's not like storage is super cheap right now or anything. You can store all your JPEGs, your recursive JPEGs, your GIFs. You're gonna store all your silly rune coins. Anyway, yeah, I'll stop joking with you about that. We'll actually get into that. Yeah. All right. So that's going to do it for me today. You all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you are in the world. Please trade safe. And of course, as always, stay safe. I'm going to leave the tunes on for a little bit here. A little bit shorter than usual, as I'm going to check in the Discord to see if if there is anybody that wanted to discuss some of the things that we were talking about the other day for a moment in Discord chat. So we will move over to a Discord live stream if there is enough interest in there to talk about some of those things, like ordinals, forks, and knives, and sporks. No, it's realistically, we're going to be talking about something that is actually very important coming into the halving, and that is filters versus non-filter. You know, not really, there's no such thing as no filters, but there's the filter versus quote unquote no filter crew regarding ordinals, fees, coming into the halving, fees after halving, and what could potentially happen given some certain scenarios, as there is a growing contingent of people that do view ordinal inscriptions as a bug. So, full disclosure, I own ordinals. I'm in it for the art, believe it or not. I'm not in it to make a ton of money, although you can make a ton of money in a few different ways if you're smart. but that's not what this channel is focused on. So we're going to bring this one, this convo to Discord, and if you would like to hang out with me there, give me about 10 minutes. So we're going to leave the stream up for about 10 minutes here. Let me go ahead and get this set up. What time is it here? Shit, I don't even know. It is 3 o'clock, so gotta do 10 after. Gives us about 9 minutes and 50 seconds. If you want to hang out, listen to some tunes, you're more than welcome to. So thanks for hanging out with me. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening again. As I said earlier, with all of that being said, please be safe and trade safe. Landy out.
Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
ID over. CBR